We're in it, Sam. We're live.
We are live. Welcome to Drink Up Saturday morning. It is the 11th of October. Robert Cogan, welcome. We call him Cost of Goods. Welcome to the show. We very much
Cost of goods
appreciate
sold. It's always cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get in that today. I know we have a whole list of stuff that we want to get through. But before we get started, we're going to call it our supporters of the show. On the Rocks with Ryan Hellman. Hellman, thank you for sponsoring us, by the way. Didn't even know you were sponsoring us, but you are. Jay Williams, I'm out of water, man. I'm still waiting for it to be sent to me. You know, Freebird, I talk about it every week, so give me the water. Adam with Alias Advising, thanks again for supporting. And then Alicia Vargo, always thanks for supporting us with Bev Assets. So let's get into it, man. So Robert, why the heck would you want to come on this show with us?
Well, guys, like you know, the podcast rotation it's a lifeblood. It's a connection to what's going on. But more importantly, it's a connection to people. There's a bit of I don't know what you call it, on LinkedIn with all the yeah, love you, way to go. And a lot of the engagement is social media fluff. So like all of us, we yearn for the contact, the communication with Wade and now Gavin at CPG Vibes. I've been working with those guys for basically a year plus. And I just gravitate Peter and Jeff at the Where the Dogs of Society Howl, if that's not a direct name. And then you guys, like I was telling you earlier, Saturday morning. This goes back to my childhood. It's like a Saturday morning Wall Street Journal experience.
So incredibly
Hanging with
kind.
you guys. Yeah. So there's why I want to always listen, as you guys know, and tune in. And then there's the nuggets of intelligence. You can't beat that. It's free and you don't have to pay consultants. And I guess lastly, and most importantly, homage, not homage, homage. Okay. And foyer, not foyer. Okay. Just so we're straight on. No, but that's a whole other topic about how ironic it is.
It's a whole different show.
You said homage earlier about the different products out there. And really I'm going to pay homage to you two because you guys are just approachable, and approachable is my language, and I'm approachable, and it's important to be approachable and be comfortable. So there's the long answer.
I mean, I think that's already yeah, I mean, let's get into it, Cogs. You said, which first of all, I want to call out, I loved your point of all the rah-rah that happens on LinkedIn. I think we all feel this. Like when you only got 30 seconds to say something to somebody, you want to default to it being positive and being a cheerleader, which I think is great. And I think a lot of us are trying to exude positive energy, but that can't be the entirety of the conversation, right? I think that's a phenomenal point that you made, even if you weren't trying to necessarily go that deep with it. So yes, you had a wonderful list that Sam and I both really enjoyed that you took the time to put together. And so where do you want to start in telling people, we know a little bit about you, but telling people who you are, how you got here, what you're doing now, and then yes, giving us, uninformed Americans a crash course on Canada.
Well, yeah, first thing I will straighten out is the cost of goods sold thing. The nickname Cogs, as a short form for my last name, happened long before me or my friends even knew what cost of goods sold were. I also used to joke around with that old brand RC Cola. I didn't want to, but
Funny.
my buddies would come to me and say, hey, Cogs, I've got your cola. It tastes okay, but I'd rather have a Coke or Pepsi. So that explains the Cogs thing. And how can a sassy guy who's played a million innings of baseball, because in baseball you got to yap, not say cost of goods sold? Doesn't that mean 60-80% of every sale comes to me? I haven't been getting all the checks, but every income statement I look at, my name's right there. Yeah. And I don't know. I thought I was going to be getting all that 60, 80, 90%. But anyway, to start off with the list that you guys are referring to, I thought it was an opportunity with some extra time. Usually there's a 5-minute segment I join in. Nobody really knows. How did this happen? Why is Robert in this business? Robert doesn't really fit this business. What's going on here? And I guess the bullet point story to explain that, covering like maybe, I don't know, a good 35 years, is real estate centric and big real estate. Not because I did big real estate. My late father did the biggest real estate. And when I say the biggest, literally the biggest in Canada, Canadian history, record-breaking deals and all that stuff. So I'm the fourth of 4 kids. So I was sort of slotted in as the gopher boy, get things done, find this, take care of these VIPs, do this, do that. And that career stretched right up into the early 90s, where I got to live the dream with the Jays, the Blue Jays, winning 2 World Series after my late father was heavily involved in the facility, the Sky Dome, that was the first retractable roof on Earth, and got to experience and be exposed to so many different things. So fast forward a few years later, that guy Steve Wynn, he called a friend who knew my dad, and my dad single-handedly got gambling on the provincial election referendum in 96. So from that experience, I got more Starbucks and drove more presentations back and forth between here and Niagara Falls, Niagara region, than I went to school, took the bus to school. I just was down there and back and forth, and I learned so much about real estate business. And then fast forward now a few years later, I'm literally driving back from Michigan. Since '08, I've had the miracle of reuniting with the first girlfriend I ever had when we were kids in Michigan. And that's a big part of the business that I have, because I'm back and forth because of my lady, not because of I love going to Tigers games or any other business thing. Motivation. So a buddy called.
Okay. Yeah, you're recording. Yeah, you're good.
Where I'm at right now, Sam, is something that is right in line with your lane, the alcohol, but it's a little fringe. It's a fringe off the lane. After the Niagara experience, pretty much everybody and their brother gravitated towards my dad's office. So I became friends with a lot of people, and one guy named Steve was a true friend, and he's what I call a wine lifer, lives on a vineyard. His wife teaches onology. Onology, that's a wine term. Viticulture, another wine term. And he told me, after we were good friends from the first decade of the century, working on all the Niagara Falls and the gambling and the real estate deals, he invented a new product. Now, you know ice wine, right? Yeah.
I don't.
Do you know that the #1 region in the world for ice wine is Niagara region, due to the fact that it's got reliable annual production? Unlike the other parts of the world that do have ice wine, it's not guaranteed that every year there'll be frozen grapes to create legit ice wine. Province of Ontario and the province of Ontario treats ice wine like the province of Champagne in France and Modena in Italy treats their trademarks and their intellectual property for that. So ice wine can only be, the grapes have to be frozen for 3 days minimum at -7 degrees Celsius, and supervisors from the ministry come and supervise at 2 a.m. in the morning to make sure the juice is squeezed there in the vineyard. That's the way it has to be. So my buddy noticed a little stickiness on the spigot, and he invented ice syrup. So moron over here gets into the food business with a product that is new and invented, doesn't even have an HS code. An HS code is applied to every product for import and export. HS, harmonized sales. I say, I'm not even sure. All I know is it took a year to get an HS code, and it was hilarious. The hoops we had to jump through. So I'm down at a trade show in Miami, and across the aisle is a brand called Blossom Water. So I broke my rule again, fruit or flower extracts, and I started working on Blossom Water. My boss partner said, as far as ice syrup is concerned, it takes 6 months to use a bottle. Go sell something that gets consumed in an hour, a drink. So RTD, here I am. So Blossom Water became my minor leagues, my single A, my double A, and then triple A. And then finally I got it listed with La Prairie Foods and ran into something that we all ran into, the catch-22. Distributor, take my brand. How many stores do you have? I got 3. I got a friend and a friend of a friend and my sister's husband's daughter at her ice cream shop. That's what I got. 8-9 days in Toronto, get in the car, 4 or 5 days in Michigan. It's been going on 15 years. Yes, and around the US and from Canada to the US as well. And around the world into Canada and the US too. And I would say, going down, it's basically the progression. What I was just yapping about, I almost got to close the circle on that, Sam. No problem. No problem. I see that. Peace and love to everyone in the world. Anyway, closing the circle on that, it landed me in this spot, which answers your question of like what I do. How do we clarify this ambiguity of products going back and forth? And what I realized is I went to cash and carry because I was bringing in La Croix sparkling water. Cash and carries are where independent stores gravitate to. They do not have GFS, Gordon Food Services, UNFI.
I don't, so please.
Cash and carry is a big secret out there. They are open market. Retailers go there and get their dollies like it's Costco, and they load up all the stuff they need for their little stores.
Mm.
Big stores show up there too. Go ahead. So in the US, you have Jetros, which is a big chain of cash and carries.
Oh, okay. I've seen them. I didn't know what they were, but I've seen. Okay,
That's
sure.
what they
Yeah.
are.
So, and I don't mean to derail this. I'm going to learn a shitload on this episode. From a brand perspective, if I'm RTD canned product A and I'm selling to a cash and carry who's then going to have product available for an end retailer to come get, the price model for a cash and carry is the same as distributor. Like I'm selling to them at the wholesale price. So it's another link in the chain.
Yeah, the cash and carry is a distributor in the cost model, but they only make 10% because they have to buy from the distributor, the supplier. The supplier has to suck it up and get a lower margin to give the cash and carry that room to put their 10% on it. So stores can come by and buy it wholesale.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you. Interesting. Sure. Interesting.
So in Toronto, there's several large ones. There's many smaller ones, and a lot goes on at the cash and carries. You know what I just realized, Sam? Remember we talked earlier about where do we draw the line on war stories? Some stories are not for public consumption, but this one is. The cash and carry. Yeah, but this one is actually educational. Like Adam said, this is going to be a great download. You guys, some people don't know what a cash and carry is, and it astounds me because as much as people not being aware that Toronto is the third largest census metropolitan area, CMA, it's a real estate term. It's the third largest market in North America. And it is frustrating, so frustrating that
Toronto.
Yeah. So anyway, but this war story is absolutely hilarious. It's movie worthy. Maybe not a theater release, but the cash and carry world in Toronto has a special wrinkle to it. It's the import-export. So I only knew what a cash and carry was because I got discount cigarettes from a buddy whose office was across the street from one. That's all I knew. Then as I was struggling with that La Croix brand, I realized cash and carry, maybe I should go see those guys at this one over at Lawrence and Dufferin in Toronto. And I did. So when I looked in the cash and carry, I saw all of the US products, no bilingual labeling, which is what you see in Loblaws, Metro, Sobeys, Shoppers Drug Mart, all of our Kroger, CVS type chains. And okay, great. I can put the La Croix in here. I want to test it out. It's exempt from the language rules because it's kosher, which is a bit of a loophole. And let's go. Then, as my buddies, not only the cash and carry, but a baseball teammate, were cluing in to me back and forth from Michigan every week and a half, they asked me to get stuff. So a year later, I'm bringing in truckloads of Fanta non-orange, the grape, the peach, the strawberry, the berry. And we all know stuff flavored or colored blue sells a lot more than stuff not blue. The cash and carry environment in Toronto, like many other business, is akin to selling weed in high school. There is a huge amount of stealth. There is secrets. There is skullduggery. And I come from real estate, where our commissions are on the first page of the agreement. And I also want to look in your eyes after we do business and do more business. And real estate has a guardrail. So they first asked me to get old time soda during the pandemic because the blue and the cotton candy and the bubblegum flavors were huge demand. They were being sold out in a minute. So I'd made 3 calls, but found Joe, the head of sales for New England Beverage, and I brought it in at $14 a case US. Put my 10% margin on it. It goes right to the cash and carry.
Yeah.
And then I found the ginger beer, the old time ginger beer, which has been around since I was a kid. So I thought I had my ticket to go to mass retail. Ginger beer, we got it bilingual. Meanwhile, all the old time soda SKUs and their blends, their sugar juices are coming in, and everything's starting to grow with me being asked to bring in stuff from the US. So what's going on with this English only? No French English, and it's all over the place. So I got faced with this question. If I don't bring in the US product, someone else is. So as things progressed, this cash and carry, I call it like prison yard, high school style Well, it's basically when the guy who's 6'7" asked me to get Mike and Ike soda, which is licensed to 8 counties in Jersey and Pennsylvania through a craft soda manufacturer. He literally, in the loading dock area while we were having a smoke, leaned in with his phone and said, I need you to get this. Just like that. I call the company up, the truckloads show up. But then what happens is, like High School Weed, no, that's New England Beverage. They're a pretty big company. This one is A Treat. They have their own brand out of Pennsylvania, and they also do 2 flavors of Mike and Ike soda. So Mike and Ike soda, typical coveted product for the exotic world, even though it's just cherry and strawberry soda, but it's got Mike and Ike on it. So there's a great example of everything there. Now, ironically or surprisingly or not, the owners of the cash and carry were in a fight. One of them asked me to go get US product. And next thing you know, I'm bringing in about 15 trucks a month. But no, not the cash and carry, because my name's Billy, not silly. So if I brought the 15 trucks a month to the cash and carry, there'd be distributors who I'm messing with. Just like we try to get a product in the store, our buyers at the store say, well, to get you in, we got to get somebody out. So I have a buddy who I knew was importing and selling to the cash and carries. So I took what I call the step back and became the importer for my buddy Gary. Gary sells to the cash and carries. No, I know who sells the weed, Sam. Gary sells the truckloads of Fanta Berry and Peach and all that stuff. Well, yeah, I did. I was in the cash and carry bombing La Croix, but the Billy not silly expression is I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to go and try to disrupt a flow in business, especially in an unregulated, synonymous with selling weed in high school. I don't want to go piss off the big dealer just because I stumbled upon a source. So I'm going to provide that source of truckloads of vanilla Coke, Fanta Berry, all this stuff. And I was as confused as you guys are trying to figure this out. But with Canada, we're different because we have that border. So it just led to me hustling and getting these grocery stores. I got like 15 in Michigan. So I can turn the key and get a brand into 15 stores in Michigan and then qualify pretty much the same day that I get asked or the next day.
I want to jump back on something you said, because it's been 7 years since I tried to get anything into Canada. Right now. Yeah. Cogs, you said something about the French English, the language laws, brands being exempt from it if they were kosher. Can you say more about that? Because I've never heard that before, but that is fascinating information.
Let me try to cover the other 7 questions that would follow in the conversation, okay?
Sure.
There is a group of people like me that show up at trade shows or US brands and say, give me a pallet, let's get it in and get it into the independents before we start spending money. There's another group of bullshitters, and they're not their fault. It's their job. Their job is to go to the same suppliers and say, no, Robert was here and he wants you to send a pallet. Oh, no, if you're not French English, you're subject to being reported, which is anonymous reporting. And there's no police force that goes and looks for non-compliant, because health risk is really the issue. So when I bring stuff in, there's a food import license. It's called an SFC, Safe Food for Canadian Import License. And now I'm thinking about what you said, Sam, in the introduction, and this is a great segue into answering some of that stuff and what I brought in. I did my first shipment, full smuggler. Then the next one, I get my Safe Food for Canadian license. When I bring that in, it comes through Canada Border Services Agency, which is integrated with FDA. Your question, what happens if there's a recall for one of those brands that Vincenzo's orders 2 cases of oyster crackers? I get notified by LaPerry, FDA, and CFIA right away. We're integrated. We got satellite scanners on everything. But ironically, the only time language comes into play is when a jealous, envious competitor or somebody feeling like they're importing this brand and putting the French English on it, and some asshole like me is meeting demand and bringing in a SKU that's not here. It's health risk assessed by me, and it comes in through CBSA, and the CFIA only jumps in if somebody does an anonymous report. which is absolutely hilarious. We're not going to get into some of those war stories because they involve brands that are worth billions of dollars, and we're just going to skip over that and stay on point with the brutal truth that when Restoration Hardware, the store, they have more restaurants now, but at the time they had Chicago, Palm Beach, and Toronto. And they had to have the same consistency in the menu. Each Foreman and Sons is the official supplier to Buckingham Palace of smoked salmon in England. The nephew in Chicago asked me to get some smoked salmon up to Restoration Hardware. As usual, I did it once. Smuggled $800 worth in the back of my truck. Then I got my fish import license the next day. And then frozen smoked salmon, which is worth a whole separate podcast of what I learned. Not in, I do what's needed, but for the need, I went and got my my fish import license, and they inspected it. They gave me a random inspection. I had some interesting CFIA training on random inspections, right down to, oops, it already went to the store. Hi, Restoration, put the yellow tape on that freezer, please. They're coming to check. That all happens. You have to use one of the alcohol importers that have their alcohol import license. It's loosened up a lot. Wine was already looser than hard liquor, and then beer loosened up, and now alcohol is available in convenience stores. But that's above my pay grade on importing alcohol. That's one of the categories I do not deal with. I pass it over to guys I know who are experts in importing alcohol. It's very difficult in Canada. You might have heard every province has their own registration requirement. It's typical for an alcohol company to choose Alberta first, so you can take advantage of their 6-month timeline. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario, which I'm sure you've heard of, one of the biggest consumers of alcohol on earth, made a lot of news with the tariff bullshit when it had to be mentioned to our American friends that, you want to screw with the LCBO, you're not going to have too many happy producers in Kentucky. Yeah, that was dark. Okay, there's the NAFTA agreement, which changed to CUSMA, Canada, US, Mexico agreement. So when the tariff war started, all of the product that went into the States that was already USMC compliant did not get affected by that extra 25%. All of my products are compliant. So I never ever suffered a 25% tariff of sending product into the States. But Canada retaliated with a 25% tariff on everything. So a shipment comes in for 10 grand, the CBSA would charge me 25%. But then I smartened up, like I posted on LinkedIn a few times. I realized that the 10 grand I'm paying for the product is not the true value of the product. I'm paying for the marketing value, the name that we were talking about, how valuable a name is from a Chinese company to a European company. And I just looked in their eyes and said, this $10,000 order is really worth $3,000 in terms of raw goods, cost of goods, right? And the tariff went down to 25. I just would submit the invoices as is with a little disclaimer and explanation. So the $10,000 purchase order didn't get nailed for $2,500. I got nailed for $800 because I would reduce the invoice based on a brutal truth reality. You know where this came from, actually? The drug dealing at the cash and carry, because a customer said, why are you so cheaper? I don't know. Why does he charge you so much more? Send me the invoice. He charged a profit margin on the freight. That's where I got the idea. If I deliver something to you for $15 a case and tell you, yeah, my margins, I'm adding $2 a case. That's my percentage. 15 divided by point whatever, right? No, $1.80 of that 15 was freight. So it's really a $13.20 sale.
It's wild.
And importers in drug land and cash and carry land will just hustle a Sprinter van across the border. And you remember Prime Hydration? It broke up families, guys. Prime Hydration absolutely devastated people. People got stuck with truckloads. Prime even got stuck with about 1,000 pallets sitting in a warehouse right now because of their big hype dive spike.
Still around.
They're what a good distributor buddy of mine refers to as a hot item, and then he says this one's just another stock item that's going to be. So Prime is now like a stock item. It used its hype to get into the Cormark planogram at all of the C&Gs across Canada. That's probably like 15,000, 20,000. Showed up with Lionel Messi backing it to go after Prime
Mhm.
and Coca-Cola, Pepsi with their Body Armor, Vitamin Water, Powerade, Gatorade. They did not shake. Like George Carlin said, you can do whatever you want to planet Earth. Planet Earth don't give a shit. Coke, Pepsi, and KDP do not give a shit. They will watch you. They will buy you. They will laugh at you. You try to get shelf space in their zone. So Prime, very interesting use of social media, and it's a new realm, the social media marketing, which Prime, Poppy, Olipop, and a few others have benefited from, and they've done it very well. I'd be generous if I said 50-50. The failure rate is probably like 65-70, with about 30% actually staying there for the next year and a half, 2 years later. I'll use baseball analogies. They keep getting hits. They keep getting that magical move to this move here, the customer in the store doing that. And it's, yeah, but this is, yeah, Richard Moniz and I try to talk to him as much as I can. I bribe him with bagels to come have lunch with me and all that stuff. He is really the number one scientist that I know in this realm, because he deals with the actual science of eye tracking, where we look, why we buy things. Why is this 26 so big on the core power?
Mhm.
Richard can tell you, okay? As we bring in Sati soda, Richard will be eyeballing this. We'll be looking at what the features are, and he will give a critique of if Relax Healthy Energy, the Celsius Alani Nu vibe, is this. He will then analyze why and where it's being conveyed
Okay.
and make suggestions as we do yes, it's okay. I went off a little bit from the answer to the question, more like, when you're asking me about the 30% that stay, I don't know. There are so many examples because there's a lot of artificial out there. So without getting into any personal stories, let's take Ollie Poppy, for example. We have brands that have exploded based on what I believe is bought social media engagement. So well, that's bought art. It's a little artificial. Sometimes we should buy things, but okay. Now let me go before I start making criticism. I want to go to one of these lines on my notepad at the bottom, which is very indicative of how we all should be. Me no speak English. Me bring box. Somebody want more box. I bring more box. That's all we can do. And if you're making the box and it doesn't sell, don't look at me. There's got to be marketing. There's got to be support. Are you giving me shippers to put in the stores? Are you forcing me to fight for shelf space? Are you going to do a Facebook thing? Are you going to give me 100 cases to go donate to an event and hire the team?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was appropriate. I sort of forgot where the question was, where we were at. Oh, yeah, the 30% that stay there. Yeah, can't sell Prime. It's not me. It's the organic demand for the product. Every product can get a bit of a bump, and it's artificial. Sustainability and repeat buyers will dictate whether you keep getting reordered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's
That
definitely
reminds me. That reminds me to bring up Ginger Bugs and give a big shout out to Steve, who you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Dontini. Couldn't
Mhm.
pronounce his last name. Dontini. Anyway, he works with Ginger Bugs. There's another young lady in Toronto named Juliana. She has a sparkling water called Balloon, and she's on her trying to get up to 10 stores, 15 stores, 20 stores. And the stickiness that you're talking about is critical, because once you get an established loyalty from a group of stores, they all know each other and talk to each other. Then you're in position to get a distributor. And Ginger Bugs has UNFI. They're in UNFI. They're still small, but they're going to be growing rapidly because guys like Steve and me can't shut up about them. Do you want to do this is a good thing since we will be running out of time soon. I wanted to show you guys what it's like for someone to receive a powerful energy box.
Please. I would love for us to do show and tell.
Okay. So what I do is, it's very difficult with all the brands, and then I run out, but I got to get samples. Every week, my ops partner, Naeem, who's sleeping in the cottage, the main house over there. I'm in the bunkie, as you can see by the wood, not a sauna. He makes up about 50 of these a week, and I grab them and make sure that I can hand them out wherever I can. So here's the first one. I love this one. It is not cotton candy. It's not. Okay. But when you open it up, it looks like cotton candy. It tastes like cotton candy, and it's 100% fiber.
Hmm.
I'm talking. I think one is on. Naeem has a list. You guys are both on the list that are going out next week. You know that mochi stuff that's frozen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, we think it's frozen because we're in North America.
Mm-hmm.
Shelf stable mochi. Okay. And these guys, there's an example of language stuff. You see the sticker?
Mm-hmm.
My buddy who imports this is what I call savvy. So,
Mm.
what my buddy Damien does is he orders containers. No, this is, but it's pink, so it looks candy-ish. Yeah, look. Okay, then I'm drinking one of these right now. Okay, we'll get the Satsi soda. We all know about these babies.
Mm-hmm.
These babies are great. Once in a while, I'll put in this Canadian brand.
I was just going to ask, who does this go to, and what is I mean, does it just show up on their door and then you schedule a call, or how do you approach it?
It goes to everybody. People that are just nice to me, that actually give me 10 minutes of feedback in a grocery store, because I can't go to grocery stores without talking to complete strangers and interviewing them and why they do what. Grocery store managers, people in hotels, food service. My buddies down at the Rogers Center who handle all the VIP. So we love these guys. It's a half Swedish organic brand that we've all heard of, 7Ts.
Will Needs.
Yeah, I think it's Nitsa.
Nitsa, okay, sure.
Yeah. But Will and I, we're associates, I guess, because I buy his product and bring it in and pumping it into independent stores right now. And we're working on some bilingual options. Because as I'm sure you're not surprised, me bring box. If you like box, I'll bring more box. They're calling me to bring more box. Hard to say, because with the ones that I do to retailers, it's probably about 90% get the call and a box goes. And I'd say about half of them end up ordering and it gets on their shelves. It is great. It gets great reactions, and it often does lead to, even if it's not a retail store that calls me, I'll get a nice young lady who I have just north of Sarnia, right across the border from Detroit, for Port Huron, Michigan, actually. And I'm going to drop off 2 cases of Melting Forest because she was at the show. She's a health practitioner. I will make sure those 2 cases get to her house. There's people that just find me for IQ Bar, Melting Forest, brands that I have a thing where I'm not meant to deal with most people because I played shortstop for 10 million innings and I don't have patience to have conversations for more than like 10 seconds, catch the ball, throw the ball, let's go. Absolutely. So I have a distributor. His name's Adam and his cousin John. They run Elementary Produce. They're very efficient. They don't give a shit about gloss. So I made the gloss for them. So here's the Moosh sales sheet, right? And we get 1 pager, they go in everything. But if you look at the bottom, see, not me, Adam and John. Okay. And then if you look, yeah. So in every box, we have the 1 pager. And again, simple, Adam and John's contact information at the bottom. So they're the independent distributor. Melting Forest is going mass retail through Eco Ideas, who is one of my favorite distributor, co-packer, regulatory PL. Those who follow sports know what a 4-tool, 5-tool player is. Eco Ideas is that. And I'll emphasize something that everybody needs: a co-packer guy who you can call on Sunday, meet at 9 o'clock, and get 5 guys in to do an emergency shrink sleeve on a pallet that needs to be at someone's warehouse tomorrow morning. That is $1 million efficiency. I think we touched on almost everything.
I just like that Jeff commented, Robert with a box cutter is the scariest thing I've seen all week. That. I mean, it is October. Halloween's coming. No, the question that we always ask, which I assume is what you're alluding to, Sam, is, Robert, for you, what's the difference between success and failure?
People. Not hard to put the brand out there. It's the people.
Short and simple. I like it.
Unfortunately, we have issues, all of us. I'm 58 now. I stopped road rage in my mid-40s, and I came up with a very good understanding of unreasonable behavior. Half the time, it's not their fault. So I go easy because they're just under pressure. And the other half the time, maybe I'll try to give them a little leeway, like they grew up in a prison yard, and that's why they act like it. But it really is the people. I'll skip over ugliness, brand ugliness. Melting Forest, Sean and Dave will take care of my newborn granddaughter if I need them to for a week. You know what I mean? Like the smile you see on everybody watching, that smile you see on Adam's face, Adam's casual vibe, you guys are an example of people that make things work, because you got to be honest. You got to be brutally honest. Remember how funny that you thought that post was, where I said I ask people when they escape the mental hospital and when they have 100 grand to lose on the first year or two of trying to support a brand? You need to have that type of bluntness, and you need to care. Care is important, and team. Be on the team together. I have one brand I'm about to just tell this week, dude, you haven't returned the call for 3 weeks. Bye. Love you. See you later, but good luck. So people, absolutely. I have a big issue with that. I hope that answers the question of what the key is, Adam. Obviously, the brand's got to be good. Obviously, there's got to be some intelligence, and there's got to be some money too. And I've got a little bit of money to put in as well. And I want to see that the brand's going to be putting in some money and be there to swing the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, I know Ryan Halleman's, he's driving somewhere with the family this weekend. I think he's going to DC, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, he may or may not be listening, but we were talking a lot about this the other day of just, I think especially when you're new to consulting, as he and I are, the desire to want to, you get a lead, you start a conversation, and you want to chase people a little bit on, hopefully Sam will come back. You want to chase people a little bit on like, oh, this is an opportunity. Like, I want to make sure I close this business. I want to make sure I start this new partnership. Sometimes, not always, most people are pretty responsive, but sometimes you just send that out into the ether and there's no response, right? You go, hey, I sent you a scope. What'd you think of it? And there's no feedback. Or, hey, can we get a call set up in 3 days? And there's no feedback. Ryan's looking at me and he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, move on. Like, if they don't care, there's a whole list of people who will. Like, there's got to be that mutual willingness to have.
Hasn't been told to let them. The Mel Robbins psychology. Let them just move on. I have had a major problem with letting them. I go to the store and I respectfully say, I sent you $800 worth of product. That demands respect. See the face? Demands respect. And then I do this. What happens is people then tell other people, man, that guy, Robert Cogan, man, he showed up to the store and he looked at me like this. And really, it's because I'm embarrassed, alienated, and I don't know what else to do.
Right.
When a guy slides into second base and like tries to hurt me, really?
Right.
Is the face. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know anything else. I want to tell this story. I know we have 8 minutes left, but that distributor who I yapped about, Adam, he's great. He's like me. He's like a ball player. Talk, boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Give me a deal. Shut up. I don't want to deal with that shit. And let's go sell. So he had a booth at the CHFA show, Melting Forest on the end, Eco Ideas over there. I want to be at every booth at the end of the show, but I can't. So I'm walking from aisle 700 to 21. Adam and John come down the aisle. Adam says, they want it all. Who? Fiesta Farms, a great grocery store in Toronto. One-off, 60, 70 years of tradition. But they don't want you there at the store. Adam, I don't go to Fiesta Farms other than having to pick up a check that they refused to pay me one time for 6 months. Or to tell them about a recall of something else because I knew about it because I was at Eco Ideas that day. So what are you talking about? Well, yeah, they came to the booth. They want everything. Don't go to the store. Oh, I don't want to go to the store. Maria, second generation owner. She yelled at me. I give her leeway. She's a second generation Italian owner of a grocery store. And I'm a guy who played shortstop and was grown up as a spoiled Jewish kid going to a private school. So we're not going to mix. And I told her the way she spoke to me is only allowed for my sister, my girlfriend, and my mom. Didn't yell at her, but I told her, like, maybe that's yelling at her, but that's that. And he says, just don't go to the store. Adam, how about this? Tell me I won, because I have been abused and disrespected by so many of these stores. And when you walk away, you slam the door and you think one day you'll need me. Why don't you just say, Robert, you won? They want every damn product of yours that is in my booth. And then I turned my head and his cousin was right in my face and he says, just don't go to the store. And that is, I want to name my movie, Just Don't Go to the Store. And I think it illustrates so much. Because there's a lot of stores that will tell you, oh, yeah, Robert, yeah. But the truth is, Beth went and got Kerrygold butter at Costco in Michigan for some of their important customers, and I smuggled it. I'm dropping it off at 8 o'clock at night. And one of their staff says, sorry, we're not receiving now. So you guys know me well enough to know what I said to that guy while there was butter in my car. I'm not taking it into a fridge and coming back tomorrow. So there's a few little tidbits about the whole relationship that is needed. And back to that question about your question about, loyalty, people. So all of this stuff that's working is because of good people. And now it's finally working. And like guys say, it takes 10 years to get somewhere in this business. It's been a hard 10 years, but I think the fruit is now going to start falling from the trees.
And nothing's a success overnight. A couple comments in here. First of all, I just want to call everybody that joined us in the live chat. Andrew Nelson, Rosa Williams, Gavin Conco, Alicia Vargo. Who else is here that I can see? Richard Moniz.
Sean was in the Riverside chat. Sean from Melting Forest says hi. Let's see who else. Carrie, not sure on last names in the Riverside chat. Carrie Brianna, one of the two is here. Yeah.
Any questions from everybody? I know there was a statement from Rosa. Rosa, I love what she said this morning. She goes, brands are not successful overnight. Some of these brands assume since they come back to market, it's going to blow up. It's not. To me, brands not enough support and way too much pressure. Margins are thinner than ever. Everyone is fighting for the same place. Thought that's pretty powerful. Everybody thinks that, well, I have the greatest formula. My brand is like, well, you said earlier, Robert, is what are you doing to support it? Like what is your social media? How many tastings are you going to do in the market? How many samples do you have available? What are you doing to activate your brand? Because I can get it on the shelf, but I can't get it moved off the shelf. That's up to you.
Well, I want to this question comes up because of the box of goodies that you shared. Like, it's not a world I live in, but it's something I'm going to think about having had this discussion with you. Like, how can brands, what am I trying to say? Take advantage of or make the most of, I guess, shared impact, right? So, like, for example, if and don't get me wrong, like Will and the IQ bar, I mean, I see those guys everywhere. I assume they're doing very well on their own. If you were sending people out just boxes of IQ bar, they'd be like, this stuff's still amazing, right? But I have to also assume if you're sending boxes out of like IQ bar and that it's not cotton candy and like the sum is greater than the parts, right? Of like, oh my God, everything in this box is amazing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so like how, I don't know, maybe there's an answer to it, maybe there's not, but just, it's got me thinking on like, how can new brands, again, I work a lot in beverage, but how can they find if they're the beverage brand in Pennsylvania, like how do they partner with the granola bar startup that's also in Pennsylvania to say, well, let's send our stuff together to a few places because then maybe we get a combined lift. You know what I mean?
I love how you just extrapolated that from the surprise. I'm trying to preach that all the time. There's team. You are so much stronger with a team. I got IQ bar playing first base because they do everything. And he can go play outfield too and catch and pitch. That guy will. He is great. He's got IQ Mix, IQ Joe, and the methodical pace. We all are a big fan of IQ bar because Will, I'll say it out loud, he does not subscribe to the bullshit gloss. He is who he is. And he also puts himself out there with his philosophical willisms that we get to look at every morning and think about and ponder. But it's just to combine things and be on a team. Will at first base. Jay, another great guy who makes us all feel like we're part of the family and we're all still going to university and in a frat. Exactly. I haven't been doing much posting and engagement, but I got to tell you, every time I do look, like last night, there's Jay. Friday night, what other idiots are here with me? 85 people are posting. It was like the most attended party on Friday night, except the one in Seattle for that crazy baseball game that went till 2 a.m. So I think it's a great team of people. But back to your point about teaming up products with each other, 2 + 2 = 9. 9 + 9 equals 7. And there's no way you're going to get the attention just being one thing. Here's my one thing.
Yeah. It's baseball.
Yeah. It's like I said, I think it's I don't know. Again, I think the default for any business, whether it's a product or a consultant or an accountant or whatever it is, right? Like the default assumption is like, oh, I have to pitch myself because if I'm pitching somebody else, that'll dilute my message and so on and so on, which, okay, sure, there might be a fair amount of logic to that. Like if I'm a a blueberry energy drink. Maybe I don't want the other person I'm pitching with alone to also be a blueberry energy drink, right? Fine.
Yeah. You
But
got to do, like you said, baseball team. You can't have 4 first
We
basemen.
we
yes,
try to put 9 to 10 atoms in a bag, by the way. And you know why? Because we're a team and you're more relevant when you go in. And I might pitch one brand that's not going to fit with that account, but another brand in that bag will. Then I go to the next account and I pitch the 9 brands again. And again, I might get 3 of the 9. And at the end of the week, those 9 brands at least are going to probably get, 5 to 10,
yeah,
distributions or sample event or another opportunity to be in a feature, an ad, whatever it may be. But if you're just going with one, it's really hard. So I love the box.
Yeah. And back to on other topics that we've covered, this applies to one of them. Hello, brands. Are you looking at my face? Look, when we call and we want to invest our time and don't charge you a retainer, call back. I'm going to tell everybody that I tried to call and you didn't call back.
that's
And
going to
then
be
I've
the
got to
clip of
go
the
to the
week.
next one down the line. I'm just the manager of a ball team and all I want to do is win. And I
gonna
want the
be-
best players there are.
Ryan Halliman, that's our clip of the week. We're gonna just take that cut out of Robert's face,
No.
put it on the
It'll be
website.
taken out of context. It'll be taken out of context. No.
I might do this call. Well, let's do this. Let's Adam, why don't you wrap us up? You do the wrap.
Yeah. Cogs, phenomenal conversation. Personally, I learned a lot. I think people in the comments did too. It was great to see some of the brands you're working on, hear a little bit of your story. Where can people find you? How do they work with you? That. And I'll start with that. Where do people find you if they want to know more about you or about how to work with you or to learn from you?
LinkedIn, obviously, despite the 20 or 30 spam messages offering me TikTok services, I still look at every message on LinkedIn. I think on LinkedIn, I've been coached properly by Reza from Darwin Fulfillment to make sure my contact information is there, my phone number, my email address, everything is there. And pfedistribution.com is the website, Robert R. Cogan at pfedistribution.com. And do a little search and you'll find me somewhere.
Perfect. pfedistribution.com. Put that in both spots.
Just a little
Beautiful.
landing page because I got to stay sort of stealthy and
Sure.
keep things down low a little bit.
Sure. So final question before I let us go. I'll start with you, Cogs, and then we'll do Sam, and I don't know. We'll see if I can come up with anything. I feel like my brain's full. Any parting words you want to leave everybody with before we get to our weekends?
Yeah, the parting words I want to leave is the Jays started in 77. A lot of pain in the late 80s with a couple World Series in 92, 93. My friends in Detroit had a very bad night last night, just like my friends in New York had a very tough night the other night, which I enjoyed very much. I'm only bringing up baseball because baseball's a part of my soul. We are very lucky that we are in the Final Four, and I convert that over to never ever stop trying, refuse to lose. One of the signs up in the Seattle Stadium last night. A friend of mine came up with that quote when we were like 18 years old, and I'll never forget it. And just be patient. Spain took 800 years to get the Reconquista done, and this business can take 10 years. Little victories need to be reveled, and don't get discouraged when you get alienated and rejected, because there is always a team of people there to support you, and always send out a box.
Man.
I love it. Sam, what do you want to add?
Well, first of all, I love baseball. I actually quit playing junior tennis at 16 to go play baseball, just to let you know. And the coach's wife was the head coach for tennis. So you can imagine how that went down with the whole situation. So, but it is baseball. It's in patience. I find myself personally, and I love the word patience. Everybody we talk to now, I always ask this question, what is your patience? And they're like, well, why do you ask me that? I'm like, we're the tortoise, not the hare. We just like one account at a time, one display at a time. And everything we talked about is, I love it. Send the boxes out. Not everybody's going to reply to them, but really good learning, man. It's so great to have you on this today. And we should probably just get on the phone and talk this week for sure. The whole bit.
Absolutely.
I'll be at a conference. I haven't been to a conference well, but I'm going to MBWA this week. So maybe we'll see some of your friends that that you mentioned. I think some of them will be there. So
yes, they will.
Jealous. That's a good show. Very cool. I think for me, right, like being the novice, the industry novice at 8 years to the, you gentlemen's longer tenure, I'll put it that way.
It's only 2 more.
Yeah, right. I think I'll go back to what I said before. It's an interesting exercise to think about, when prior to this conversation, if you'd have said like, hey, it's a team effort, I would have been, yeah, of course it is. Like, you got to have your ops person and your marketing person and your salesperson and your so on and your finance and blah, blah, blah. And that's true. I had never really considered prior to you saying it, like, no, team, other brands, like other people that you may see as competitors, but who are also in that startup space with you. Like, they can be team members. They can be, the relief pitcher or the pinch hitter or whatever whatever analogy you want to use. I think that's brilliant. It's definitely something I'm going to noodle on. So with
Yeah,
that,
and I forgot. I mean, there's an hour. I thought I could cover everything, but I do want to do that, like, the way they squeeze in names at the end of accepting an award while the music's playing. Yeah, Jim Slomka and Larry Bonikowski from Grocery Business Magazine. I'm a customer, but what they give back is intelligence, especially Jim Slomka, always there to take a call whenever he's golfing or doing whatever he's doing. Reza Bafanda, a contact of Jim's, Darwin Fulfillment, George Maya, formerly at Longo's, and now is beside me helping take Melting Forest to the world and every brand that I have in my dugout. And there's other names that I forgot to mention: Rafiq at Eco Ideas, TC at Eco Ideas, Emma, and a lot of other people, Dave and Sean from Melting Forest. And I'll stop there. It's pretty much.
And I know Dave, so I'll see David. He's the MBWA next week, and Sean said he'll be there as well. So I'll hook up with those guys.
Yeah,
We'll take a picture. Actually, I'll just call you when I'm with him. I'm standing with him.
I'll love
And I'll
that.
do that.
So I will stop there. We're a little over time, but after last night's extra innings,
it feels right.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
That's
okay.
good.
Yeah, it feels right.
All right. Well, what?
Beautiful.
Remain on the line, Adam and Robert, and then everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.